And the first on the list, I just wrote in big caps, everything is drugs. And I think Kalle has a few things to say about that, possibly. I don't know if I get the message correctly. But I think that's about the conclusion I draw from your little tale. Kalle wrote a little piece and sent it to me, and I read it, and it's brilliant. But I think Kalle should try to explain it himself. Here you go, Kalle.
Well, so there's this little thought experiment you can do that if you imagine somewhere in the city of Amsterdam in like the year 1598 or something, there were some people there, some merchants who were used to trading with the ships that came across the Atlantic, and they had been given all these exotic plant bits from people coming into the harbor, and they were sitting in a back room gambling and eating cakes with Brazilian sugar and nutmeg from the East Indies, and maybe they were drinking cacao from Mexico or coffee from Yemen or Ethiopia, and maybe they were smoking tobacco. They were definitely smoking tobacco. Maybe they were smoking cannabis indica, so that somebody had bought on the Bengal coast, or maybe they were smoking the dried latex of the Papaver somniferum, which is the opium poppy that somebody imported from Istanbul. And maybe the sort of, while they were buzzing, the card game changed shape in their minds, and they ended up inventing a new card game on a grand scale, which was the stock market, which of course soothed their gambling addiction. And since then we have had the East India companies of the Netherlands and the and England. And since then the distribution and global addiction market in drugs has been coexistent with and inseparable indeed from political power struggles and political entities that feed their soldiers on alcohol and cocaine, and that even the world leaders became addicts, you know. Well, many of them were alcoholics already, but people started using all over the place all these new substances, and they extended their power and their armies to control more of it. And they couldn't in the end they couldn't really distinguish between when you were invading a country in order to acquire cocaine and when you were invading it in order to acquire oil or gold. Maybe, just saying.
Okay, so I think the big takeaway from this, what Kalle just said, is that our whole civilization, like the grandness and massiveness of it, the fact that we have so many different things and are interconnected, and it's a fact. From this perspective, it is all built upon drug use.
I would say addiction.
Oh yeah, but chemical reactions within the brain somehow, and so the obvious one is sugar and tobacco and the slave trade that came with that. But then further on is just the use of coins, right? And the fact like we became addicted in some cultures to just using these money and buying things, and we really like doing that. And so we, instead of expanding our civilization, we dug mines and dug holes in the ground to get more of these precious metals that we loved so much.
Think about gold and silver. Why do we consider these valuable? Gold is not very useful for any other purpose than jewelry. And
it is for some computers and computer parts.
But I mean, people have been lusting for gold for 5,000 years.
That hasn't stopped us.
And so what Kalle basically also just said is that, like, the whole stock exchange can be seen as a big gambling addiction that we created, and therefore you could view the whole economic system that we have as that as well, in a certain sense. And so what I would like to add upon this is an idea that I've probably mentioned before in this podcast, but the fact that Christmas was like once a pagan holiday, and there's some possibility that it may have been associated with like a drug use, and the similarities do seem to be there in terms of the fact that mushrooms like the Amanita muscaria grow under pine trees, and the fact that we put the presents now on the pine trees. And I think this is great symbolic of like the fact that like what we do in Christmas today is still a drug festival in a certain sense. Like we do give the children presents, and they do get a great amount of dopamine from this, and they might even stay addicted to this pleasure for the rest of their lives, trying to acquire themselves gifts and working for it in the future with a job, and just the same way that a drug addict would with drugs. So it's this idea that most of our culture and our tradition and whatever practices we may hold in society are built upon these addictions. And
may I add
yeah.
a drug? Yes. I think another drug that we have all become very accustomed to in the last 30 years is in some part also technology and screens. For example, the phone and the laptop, as it has fully integrated into Western society. We are at the moment in Denmark. And I've talked to great many people about their screen addictions, because I myself have one. And I fear a lot for the old people who cannot control this new drug that can take every minute of the time, or young people who spend way too much time in their beds just rotting away. Terms like doom scrolling becoming a big new thing. And also personal experience being on the plane, looking at a woman that had a phone in her hand. She didn't have any Wi-Fi, so she was just looking through her phone, putting it away, being like, okay, no, I'm done with my phone. And I began counting how long it would stay out of her hand. And she did it 5 times, and the longest was 1.5 minutes. The shortest was 10 seconds. In that way, I feel like we are using that as much as a drug, like all the other ones.
Yeah, you were talking to your mom yesterday. You told me and about the phone use and how you hated it, and she was saying to you, "Yeah, you'll get used to it, son. just don't think about it too much. Just keep using your phone."
Yeah.
And I compared that, funny enough, to heroin use or something, like your mom telling you, "Yeah, just you get used to the heroin, son. Just keep taking it.
You don't have to take all of it away. You know,
Yeah.
you can integrate it, balance with the heroin. It's fine."
That's when you realized it was kind of like a Brave New World scenario or something with the drug they take in that book. Yeah.
Everything is drugs. Sugar, we talked about that half an hour ago.
What exactly is the addictive mechanism behind sugar? Is it the flavor? Is it the flavor that you become addicted?
It's just a good flavor, man. Yeah.
I mean, evolutionary speaking, sweet things were mostly non-poisonous and were good for us. So by that instinct, we like sweet foods.
Oh.
And we have just begun, or companies have begun using that fact, like also with high-fat products and sugars.
But I mean, for example, when you smoke cigarettes, what you become addicted to is also like the reason why you enjoy the smoking is because you associate it with a chemical reaction that makes your body feel a certain way. You know Pavlov and the dog?
Yes.
Yeah, so Pavlov, I better say it for the microphone. You know, Pavlov, he had a clock go ding every hour, and then the dog would get a treat. And then he measured how much saliva it produced. and then in the end, even when he took away the treat and the bell went ding, it would still produce more saliva because it associated the ding with the eating of the treat. And I think about that, is it the sugar? So, okay, the flavor in your mouth is the bell going ding. That's one stimulus. But what's the chemical reaction in your body that you associate with the flavor? Like, what does sugar do to you? Besides taste good.
I think neurochemically, it definitely does something to your brain and makes you physically addicted to it like nicotine. But what it does mentally or like, I don't know.
I think
will not speak
it's
on that
glucose,
topic.
right? And it's prime nutrition, and that's why it tastes good, and that's why it is actually like
Why our body made it
It's-
taste good.
I think if you have
Yeah.
a hunter-gatherer and you have him eat some sugar, he'll be like, fuck yes, and he'll be like pumped up, and like it won't be bad for him.
Yes.
And that's why it's supposed to taste good for like a normal, like a
Well,
primitive
yeah,
human,
it's-
but if you're a fat American who does this every day, then it's not good for you. I don't know, but
And
I
then
think
the
it is
problem
like
is-
actually
Or a fat
prime
Indian.
nutrition. Like sugar is good in certain ways.
It is good. But then you have all those psychologists and scientists trying to make the most money by getting the people to eat it the most. And that means, how do we get people the most addicted to these substances? Maybe even put additives in so that the people get addicted to that special product
Yeah.
that has these additives.
Yeah. Definitely. But this is commodification, right? What you're talking about is commodification. You turn something into a tradable item, right? And you produce a lot of those and try to sell as many as possible. So that's the commodification of sugar. But so if we think about our ancestors, and we take all this evolution stuff seriously, then would they be able to acquire sugar? Maybe in fruit. Fruit must be the highest concentration. Fruit and berries, right?
Yeah.
And I guess if you're out gathering roots or collecting food somehow, hunting. This is good to sustain you because you have to run or walk far. And today the sports people, they also consume sugar while like professional bicycle racing, right? They drink the sugar water while they're on their bikes because they need quick energy.
Instant energy.
Yeah.
Everything is drugs. And everything, I think,
Yeah.
what's the word?
Commodification.
Commodification.
This is a Karl Marx term.
That's very necessary for the big drug use if you want to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Which, with the things we have just said, sugar definitely, technology with everybody having a phone. I don't walk into uni without everybody having a laptop.
Think about sugarcane plantations, right? Like this is the slave trade. So many people were made slaves to feed labor to the sugarcane plantations. I don't know, man. Like there are some countries where people consume a lot of sugar, right? Like in their tea or whatever, or in soda, or
Everywhere, in every food that
and it's not really necessary because
But
they have too much of it, and you can make it so cheap.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
So now that we have determined that our whole society is this unconscious, insatiable demon addiction machine, right? How do we exit this capitalist demon matrix then?
Suicide is a bad answer here, right?
Well, first of all, you can quit smoking.
Does that make you exit?
No, you're still in capitalism.
Yeah, sadly.
But you have to.
Maybe
the thing is that the real bad thing about capitalism, the way I see it, is that it's this. You never ask. Is it a good idea to produce this or to do this enterprise for profit? no matter what enterprise it is, you will do it if you gain profit, because that's how you have success within the system. And that is good that we have a functioning economy and that we're producing all our necessities of life, but some people are producing, landmines, anti-personnel mines. Why? For profit,
Yes.
right? Because that's you have to find something to produce for profit, and there's no mechanism in our society that makes us ask, should we maybe not produce landmines? Maybe this is an unacceptable type of profit.
That's what
Like
laws
we should stop ourselves from doing that. Just like just like we should moderate our relationship to, for example, alcohol or whatever.
But then
We should also moderate our relationship to profit. We should let reason decide sometimes.
yes, but also it's really hard when connecting to the last topic. Everything is drugs. Like, yes, you should do all those things, but also it wants you to be in the system completely, which is why how to exit the system. I think one of the main problems is globalism, in the sense that it's kind of everywhere. It's hard. I think it's easier to define the problem than to get the solution for the answer, or just move into an eco village.
But yeah, I don't know. It does seem that when you realize these things that there hasn't been, like in Cal's text he wrote, what was it? Is there no has no one kept their mind sober this whole time? What would you say?
put the. Did nobody keep a clear mind?
Yeah, and so it is this realization that like these larger forces have actually ruled us in a certain way and dictated the evolution of our society, and we have been kind of like ants following a little trail and
Trail of sugar.
yeah, a little trail of sugar. That's a good analogy, right? And so you realize like maybe I shouldn't keep being a little ant. Like maybe I want to act a little differently, and because you grow up and you have these authority structures around you, which makes you think that like things are kind of taken care of. There's someone in charge, and we know what we're doing, and but perhaps we're all just kind of ants smashing our head into trees and woods and shit, and perhaps you could do something else,
Perhaps you can do something.
Yeah.
What are the things we don't like about being in the city that you would have to replace with something better? More nature.
Like if we were to leave capitalism.
I've already stated it. We replace doom scrolling with bonfires.
Okay. I have an idea for how we can detox from capitalism. Okay,
Please.
as a society.
Uh-huh.
Ban all digging resources out of the ground below like 2 meters. No digging below 2 meters ever. You can dig for potatoes, but you can't dig for metals or oil.
But then you have the problem, I think, with concrete.
Well, it's gonna be a cold turkey, right? It's gonna be hard, man.
Yeah. It's also sadly
No
going to
mines.
be really hard to look for, like to control.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You would have to get all the
all
people
the kids
in
in
on
the
it.
garden.
Bros, we gonna play
Well,
Minecraft.
I mean,
yeah.
but that's why we need to convince people. So what we do is we make it a religion. We say it's because the below ground is where the devil lives,
Oh.
and he
If you
causes
make a
he
hole-
causes society to be bad. By tempting us to dig up gold and oil and shit.
I like that.
Wow.
The devil is actually 50 meters below us.
The devil is the great pusher.
He's the great pusher. He is.
Mhm.
I think one thought that hasn't left my mind in a few weeks is that we have become a society of consumers and not of creators. I feel like, and I don't know if this was true more than a few hundred years ago, but I feel like today we really only consume. We live
in these houses that are already perfectly made up, consume on our phones. But I feel like the act of creation, taking that back, being more in nature, learning skills is such an important thing. And like life skills are not necessary anymore in the city. Like you don't need to know any plans outside the city. Just have your shoes on, have your clothing on, don't touch anything because everything is bad. Then go home and shower so you can lay in your bed.
Yeah, but you do need to know how to apply for an official ID card.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
You know how to make money.
Yeah,
you have to have economic value.
You need to have all this specialized knowledge, but you don't need to know.
And I
you
think
know
that's
how to survive in the wild.
I think that's what you have to regain a little bit. Matthias, for example, has been picking up nettles and drying them. I ate some of his nettle bread. It was really good.
Yeah, and I think that's cool, but I think there's we need to distinguish between how can one person escape from living with capitalism, if that's what they should want, and how can we as a collective escape, you know? And that's
True.
like
That
the
is
difference between just quitting and exiting, and that's what you traditionally in anti-capitalism call the revolution, right? And the great objection against the revolution is that it's too violent, and then you get a repressive regime afterwards anyway.
Yes.
Which historically is true. I don't know, but I think that capitalism as an economic system will come to an end sometime, and everybody will be completely surprised. But
I think for the moment we are okay. We live in Denmark at the moment. I am from Austria, very very nice places. But I feel like still we live in a society that maximizes comfort, and it's not bad enough, personally and comfort-wise, to do something so radical. Which is sadly why I don't see a big revolution or a big counter step happening in the next few years.
In Denmark, you know, we get, as you were saying, a nice little bribe for supporting the capitalist regime, right? It's like you have to go and produce. There's no way around it, but you get 6 weeks of holiday, and we put your kids in school. And, yeah.
Do you take the bribe?
Yeah, do you take the bribe? That's the question.
I've been taking the bribe lately.
Yes, I think it's very much in our previous discussion a question of if you want to talk about leaving collectively or leaving as a person by yourself.
But I do think that there is an analogy, and I think that's why the addiction argument is really interesting, because I think it shows that we have to act on the collective level in a similar way as we do on the individual level. We have to quit our bad habits. Capitalism, you can think of it as a big bad habit, you know, and it's difficult to. It's always difficult when you have a bad habit to see a way out, but then you do it, right? And
but also it's like not only you against your desires, but it's you against your desires and all the researchers and psychologists that have made everything to attack your desires.
Yeah, but then the big question is how do you work on a collective level to quit your bad habits? Like how can we? And what we do is. Is propaganda, right? Communication. Communication. You have to promote one habit and attack another habit, you know, to convince all the people all the time that you should do this thing instead of that thing.
Just shame people into not doing it.
Well, I mean, that appears to be one of the main ways to create collective action. Right?
I think let's make a hashtag where we throw our phones in the lake.
Yeah, but the stupid thing is that
Smash
how are you
screens.
gonna post it?
This person films it from outside.
And then they do it, so we have to create a big chain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Everybody follow
1,000
follow
people.
the chain, yeah.
Yeah.
Follow the chain. 1,000 people. Everybody makes a video of
Yeet.
the person.
And
before
then
them
you know,
filming it.
after everybody throws their phones away, then will we still go to work? You think? How is the boss
We
gonna call us?
won't know when at least to go.
We won't have any more watch. Everybody threw out
Instant
their
exit
watch.
from capitalism.
No, I think it won't be that powerful, unfortunately.
One thing I found really interesting when I visited Rome last year
Mm-hmm.
was the shortcut for a Roman phrase SPQR, which means Senatus Populusque Romanus.
Mm.
And the story was that in Rome, the Senate had a lot of power but didn't give enough to the less fortunate ones. And so the lower classes, which I guess was between 50 and 80%, at one point decided to collectively leave Rome and camp for 2 days or camp for a few days outside of Rome.
Yeah.
And all the rich people had no peasants, no servants, no nothing.
Mm.
And so they renegotiated.
Yeah.
And after that, with the Senate and the people coming more together, the phrase, which still is on the street where the water flows in, the metal circles, what is that called? Gullidecker? You know what I mean. Is still printed on there. SPQR.
yeah.
Senatus Populusque Romanus. The Senate
yeah.
and the Roman people.
Yeah.
Do you think something like that could work nowadays? Like we just go in the woods
Oh
for,
yeah.
for
Everybody
like a week?
who's against it just go. But yeah, I think so. This is the strike. You know. This is an idea that the anarchists had when they thought that they didn't want to use violence to end capitalism. So they promoted the idea of the general strike. Everybody go on strike, all at the same time. And I think this seems like a good strategy, except that most people don't want to because they get 6 weeks of paid vacation
They have
and
work to
schools
do,
and
they can't
hospitals.
strike.
Yeah, but then you also have there's this question of this is something that has been called elendighedsteorien, the theory of misery, elende, and
Elend in German.
elende. Okay, and this is that if you treat your proletariat badly enough, they will revolt. So you have to find a middle way. So
Maximize comfort.
Yeah.
And it's not
Okay,
bad enough
right.
at the moment.
It's also
Hello. Yeah,
It's
you are down by the
interesting.
lake. You see the bridge.
Okay. Yeah, should I pause it? You reckon? But I want to talk about, with the guy Harry Seldon,
Okay.
predictive history.
Side are you on? You know.
He talks about how societies collapse, right? And I was also just reading in my Egyptian book about the Egyptian Empire and how they, they rise and they fall. They start with really big buildings,
Yeah.
all
okay,
empires
then
in
you
a
turn
certain way, and then they slowly
left, and you walk along
collapse, right? Yeah. And it's just interesting, that process, and imagining yourself in that process, because where are we right now? Are we in a collapsing empire, perhaps?
Are we at the zenith? Have
yeah.
we reached it?
Yeah.
Have we passed it?
Yeah.
Interesting question.
And what will the downfall of the West look like? Like, is it going to be like all of us turning into these couch potatoes, succumbing to the pleasures of the national state and the technology and what else the modern world can offer of comfort, right? Which will probably be quite a lot,
It's going to be interesting. There is a lot of factors that could sway in a lot of ways that have a huge impact. But I think, like in the next 50 to 80 years,
a lot of parameters are gonna come together in some way. Climate change, the heating up of the planet around the equator, more people, more climate refugees, more war refugees.
You've heard about the rat experiments, right?
The rat experiments.
Where this dude grew rats in a lab, and he made like a big rat civilization there. But every time he did the experiment, they always killed all of each other, you know. So they all died out at some point, and it's because it kept expanding within a closed space, a limited space, right? And so the alphas, they would all fight each other for dominance, and there would just be too many, and and there would
But
be
we
no
are
place to
smart.
go. You know, in nature they go somewhere else. The alphas, when they can't win.
But where is a place that we have new access to with infinite space?
Yeah,
Infinite. That's a new dimension that we have expanded into. But if that is sustainable, we'll see. The collapse. We'll see. I think I'm a little bit scared of in German it's called Festung Europa, Fortress Europe.
Okay.
With all the refugees coming, the radicalization and the everlasting push to the right that seems to be going on in the world right now. I think sadly will lead to a Fortress Europe with us shutting down borders in a very direct way. And I think that could be somewhere in there around the zenith, or maybe after the zenith, when the sun is at its highest point. Because we do actually need a lot of migrants to keep our economy growing.
Yeah, I guess borders are there to stay, right? Because
Borders are definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
We have created so much money, so many natural resources in the ground. You know, I heard a story about the Danish and the Norwegians making water borders, and apparently the two guys, the Norwegian and the Danish seamen who were making the borders, were quite drunk, and they made a more or less arbitrary line in the seawater, which was in benefit of the Norwegians, especially because afterwards they found all the oil on Norway's side, which also would have been part of Denmark.
Sad. Yeah.
So you as a Danish citizen actually just lucked out.
Okay, let's pause it right
Let's
now.
pause it. Thank you for listening to the first half of this beautiful podcast, and we will see you in a second. Bye.
Alrighty, this is Copenhagen Circle. We are live at Pusher Street in Christiania, at just the corner between Nemo Land and the Opera, and we are by Tom's art stand, and we're painting at the moment. Kalle, Noemi, also a girl called Anna in the house. And we're just gonna have a little chill conversation about how to escape from capitalism. And perhaps some people are gonna pop by from the street. We're gonna talk to people. They'll give us their advice, their little take on it. First, we are going to ask the studio's wise man and ancient druid and myth maker genius Kalle, how do you escape from capitalism, man?
I don't know.
Okay.
I offered my advice in the previous section. about a bit of tangents then. But, maybe read Lenin. He has some ideas.
Lenin, yeah. Some communist stuff, yeah.
Well, I think he's the most famous writer on the topic of revolution, right?
I don't know, what comes to mind for me is obviously we're sitting in Christiania right now, which is a free town. And me and Tom actually, we did like a pilgrim's journey to a place in Jutland, the opposite side of the country, called Copenhagen. And this is a similar kind of community as Christiania, operating under different laws than the rest of the country. And founded in like the 70s by a bunch of hippies. And it's interesting. Can you... Perhaps this is how you escape capitalism. You create these little communes, these little pockets. Tom, how do you escape from capitalism, man?
Interesting and hard question. I talked to a Christiania, right? And he seemed to have a lot of experience. He told me he traveled through 60 countries, and that Iran was actually the best country to travel to, with the best people. And he said that all very earnestly, so I do believe him that he had a really good time there. And he told me if I want to be free, I should have no bills. And so, like, having a living space, I think, is, for example, a way the capitalistic system keeps us in the system. If you just have to be in the system, you have,
The addiction to certain comforts that sits as a roof over your head.
not even addictions, but just the reality of that we live in. You grow up in a roof, you die in a roof, and I pay 800 euros for too little space. But maybe this is biased, you know.
I think you're really onto something about the land, because we live in a society where all that stuff is owned, and it's
not
owned
by
by
us.
some older rich people, and all the land is owned. There's nowhere you can just settle and say, this is my apple trees and this is where I live and this is my garden. You have to pay for it.
This is my contract, my land. Go away from my land.
And that's why I think to escape
Get off my
capitalism,
lawn.
like places like Christiania and Tulayan are revolutionary places where people are. They started by just squatting the place, right? And they said, we're not moving here. This is our spot now. And that's what I find revolutionary, and what I would love to see more. And I'm sure it does exist many places in the world, and you can go and find these places. But it's saying that we're taking this land, you know, and
We're taking it back.
it belongs to us, and we deserve to live here, and we just want to live our lifestyle, which is perhaps not in line with the current regime of truth, and I love that. And
But how does
perhaps we
such a
can-
thing come about? You have to get organized, right?
you have to get organized. You have to
Yeah.
have a
Community.
certain energy that you can charge into doing this very dramatic action, right? Yeah.
Which they are also consciously or subconsciously keeping us from. Like, community is getting less and less.
And I think
Organization.
like
less and less.
they must have had that energy in the 70s, right? It must have been in the air, in the environment, in the people. Like they must have been so many hippies that they were able to organize and say, we're taking this plot of land here, you know?
Yeah.
And
in the middle of the city, 1971, squatting Christiania.
yeah.
And now, 55 years later, we're just sitting here on the street.
Is that bird shit?
A bird
Yes.
shit on your head.
I just got shat on.
The
I got
universe
some on
has
my-
spoken.
Oh, on the painting, wow.
Yeah.
I got it all over me, man.
Maybe
Yeah.
this is not the place to sit.
You
Maybe.
got it in the fucking head,
I
man.
got it in the hand. My
Wow.
pants.
Ew.
Uh-huh.
Yuck.
Good on you for wearing a.
I guess in some cultures
Bandana.
that gives luck, I think.
I don't know,
Getting
it-
shit on the head.
It sounded like criticism. Yeah, it was like, fuck you and your opinions.
Your podcast
I want
is
your
shit.
land.
Oh, it got on the microphone too. We got bird shit on the microphone. Oh no.
World's first. Yo. Why did you smell it? How did it smell?
It's bird poop.
So maybe we should actually not try to escape capitalism, but be good boys.
But everybody knows
Increase-
that the birds are government drones.
That's true. That's true.
Fuck it.
Like,
There's five.
stop it now.
You guys talking shit about us?
There's 5G in the birds.
I think they are actually right. We have to change topic. How can we increase our economic value? How can we maximize our
Yeah,
economic
yeah.
value?
Exactly. That's
We
what
need
it's about.
we need some ads for this podcast.
We need. How can we maximize the amount of birds? That's what it wants us to talk
Amazon warehouses are probably looking for workers, just so you know.
about. Oh, nice. Yeah, well, I was wondering why I didn't have a job. Okay, well, speaking of that, so if you are an unemployed person, why can't you just get paid to go on a treadmill and generate energy with your feet?
Because then we don't have poor people, and we need poor people
Why do we need poor people?
to
Exploit them and
To exploit?
to keep
Of course.
people in check.
But
You know, they have to be a model. Like, if you don't work, if you don't pay your bills, this is what you become. And you know, the children get taught like, ooh, be wary of the homeless people.
I also read somewhere that there is no middle class. Actually, it's just an imagination for the poor.
It's a word that they like to use to make most people feel that they have received a part of the economic surplus.
Yeah,
I
but a
can
lot
buy
of
it
people are closer to be homeless and poor as fuck than to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So,
Worlds
yeah,
apart.
maybe there is no middle class at all. I don't know. I really have to
When
research.
I
Sure.
don't know, but there are definitely people who are poorer than I am.
Yeah, but then the spending is bigger, and you know, we all spend on grocery and housing, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I like the conspiracy that we're having wars and shit and all this destruction in order to keep money being valuable, right? And
Yeah.
commodities and so on.
Oh, true. The war is a good excuse, but it's really happening. So
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, weapons are one-time use, right? We can't have something that is multiple use in the same way they make objects last a shorter amount of time, so you have to buy more of them. We can't have nothing for eternity, for the economy has to grow.
Everybody loves the economy. Jetzt wird wieder in die Hände gespuckt. Wir steigern das Bruttosozialprodukt.
I talked to my dad the other day, and I said, how's it going? And he said, oh, it's, and he was like, and then he said, the English saying, as long as it pays. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I realized, like, because my dad, when he was my age, he went to the United States and he worked at like a factory there making furniture, and now he has his own company in Denmark. But I realized how like this American mentality, as long as it pays, and like all this focus on money and on profit and on numbers. Even my old dad, who I see as like this country simple man, he's totally what do you say? Encompassed, yeah, infatuated with this idea of profit and money, and like he's totally inside this bubble as well, and living his life in accordance with it. and yet just that realization struck something within me, and let, like, I am too, right?
But there's a difference between as long as it pays, because that just means you know you got to get money. Everybody needs money, but there's also, you know, it has to grow, and I think this is the defining thing of capitalism. Not that people trying to get paid, but that everybody has to make their business grow all the time. It's not enough that they should acquire what they need. It should be bigger next year and bigger the year after that. The business should always become bigger. And to think like this as a fundamental rule, I think that is why we have this society of overconsumption, right?
That's true. I just saw that Europe cannot grow more if we don't accept immigrants, and it just made me think, what if we're done growing? We're just staying like this, you know? We don't have to grow. Sometimes there is no room to grow, because you achieved what you could, and that's the end. And you should be okay with it, you know, not growing. And that's the cancer of the whole thing, because we are already like struggling here in Europe, and just weird. I wonder where it goes, but I have a feeling in that.
Yeah, where does this go, Kalle? If what you say is true, that our whole financial economic system is built upon the addiction to gambling, and trading stocks, then basically like where does the withdrawal, where does the 0 point hit these gamblers?
I think if you quit, I don't know, I've never been a gambling addict, but with many addictions, you quit once you have a scare, right? Something really bad happens. Maybe you quit your opioid abuse once you have an overdoses or something. And maybe our financiers should have quit capitalism in 1929 or 2008 when there was financial crisis. And I think one time, you know,
They'll lose their money and get a big shock.
Yeah, one time when the fallout is too big, like when too many bad things happen as a consequence of some financial crash. I think that's the opportune moment. There was also the coronavirus, right? Where we actually showed that even though a lot of what happened was totalitarian in some sense, it showed that we are capable of having other priorities than capitalism, right? Because we actually slowed down business, slowed down production as a collective decision. Because we thought everybody was going to die from this disease if we didn't, right?
We took it serious.
Yeah, and I guess this shows that we are capable of having other priorities than producing.
Fuck. My microphone. I think.
Oh, you didn't catch that?
No, it might be broken.
Oh, okay.
I think it's fucking, it's totally bent. Okay. Kalle has a Zen poem he'd like to end this podcast with.
Listen carefully, for silence wears many hats. When the river sneezes, the mountains politely applaud. And in that moment the peach learns arithmetic while the wind forgets its own name. To understand this is to misunderstand it completely, and only then will you arrive exactly where you never were.
Amen.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Okay. Thank you guys.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you guys for listening to the Copenhagen Circle. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we will be back to you ASAP for more episodes from yours truly. Get better soon, Noemi.